Learning to live in the actual world. There's a question I used to hear a lot, usually from myself, usually around 11 p.m. How come I can't eat like normal people? It's such a specific kind of despair, not anger, more like bewilderment. Everyone else seems to be managing this eating thing without it taking up so much real estate in their brain. One cookie, done. Half a serving of pasta, fine. Meanwhile, you're doing a complicated cost benefit analysis in the middle of what was supposed to be a dinner party. I want to talk about that word, normal, because I think it's quietly doing a lot of damage. Normal has always been changing. Think about smoking for a moment. Smoking everywhere, on planes, at the restaurant table and right next to yours, in hospital waiting rooms, doctors recommending particular brands. Nobody questioned it. It was simply what people did. And when the first bans came, people were furious. The bars would close, culture would collapse. Now it isn't normal. In one generation, completely. Ultra processed food, the stuff specifically engineered to override your satiety signals, that activates the same reward pathways in your brain as cocaine, is currently normal. Everywhere, every break room, every celebration, every gas station. Your nervous system's strong reaction to it is not the aberration. The food is. The program is not the life. Between 2016 and 2018, 170 pounds came off my body. I reversed type 2 diabetes, normalized my cholesterol, got off all my medications, and then real life happened. My father declined, then died. My mother's dementia progressed over years. I broke my foot, arthritis, business stress. The particular exhaustion of being the responsible one, managing everything, for parents who could no longer manage themselves. Through all of it, I maintained my abstinence from the foods that harm me. I wasn't going off plan. I wasn't eating my feelings. I was eating exactly the way I always had, and I gained weight anyway. Here's what nobody in the diet world wants to say out loud. Chronic stress causes weight gain independent of what you're eating. Elevated cortisol increases abdominal fat storage, creates insulin resistance, disrupts every hormone involved in weight regulation, regardless of what's on your plate. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a charging tiger and watching both your parents die slowly. It responds the same way. And one of those responses is holding onto weight as a survival strategy. I wasn't failing the program. My body was responding intelligently to a genuinely overwhelming situation. 6 months after my mother died, without changing a single thing about my eating, my body started returning to its previous weight. The stress lifted, the cortisol dropped, the biology cooperated because it finally could. That's not a willpower story, that's a nervous system story. What I had to learn was how to live in the actual world, not the controlled world of a program. The world with grief and joy and surprises and ordinary Tuesdays that somehow go sideways. That is a completely different project than losing weight. And it takes longer, and nobody talks about it. What you're actually learning. When someone tells me they've been in and out of their program, struggling, then good, then struggling again, I notice they're describing that whole arc as failure. I'd like to offer a different reading. What if that period isn't you failing at your program? What if it's you learning to navigate actual life with real complexity, real nervous system activations, real history? As someone whose system works the way your system works, those are not the same project, and they don't have the same timeline. The abstinence part, removing the foods that harm you, that can happen in weeks. The neurological change, the identity shift, the learning to trust your body, the loosening of the death grip while keeping the boundary, the turning down of the obsessive noise. That happens in months and years. What are you comparing yourself to? What is the baseline you've decided you're failing to hit? What did you choose? And did you choose that baseline, or did someone hand it to you? What 9+ years has taught me? I don't weigh myself anymore, not because I'm avoiding something, because the number was never the point. What I maintain is abstinence from the foods that cloud my thinking and steal my energy. Because when I do, I can think clearly enough to write. I can show up for the people I love. I can create rather than just survive. Weight is just gravity's opinion about my body. It has very little to do with whether I'm living vibrantly. What I've actually been building over 9+ years, the part that doesn't show up on a before and after, is learning to live, recognizing which situation I'm actually in, building enough automaticity that most of it doesn't require conscious decisions, developing the observer, the part that can notice without collapsing, learning that I can be in a hard moment without food being the only answer. None of that is linear. None of it looks good on a chart. All of it is real. The permission you might need. If you've been navigating something hard, grief, caregiving, health challenges, transitions, or just the ordinary relentless weight of being a person in this particular world, and your relationship with food has been messier than you'd like, you're not failing at recovery. You're learning to live. Those are different things, and they deserve different measures. Normal will keep changing. Your nervous system will keep learning. And you are further along than the verdict you've been giving yourself. If you want to start understanding what's actually driving your patterns, not as a diagnosis, but as a starting point that's yours, the quiz link is below. Go take it, and then come find me and tell me what you found.